Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tatvamasyadilakshya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha in Upashama Prakarana, section 61. And the story of King Suraghu continues. As you recall, Suraghu, through the story of Suraghu, Sage Vasishtha is bringing out subtle points that will lead an aspirant to attain liberation. Suraghu becomes exemplary how he practiced his vichar. And as a result, he attained enlightenment. Sri Rama asked, O sage, the mind is as fickle as the feathers of a peacock. Please tell me how this mind can be brought to a state of one-pointedness in order to attain enlightenment. Just like in the Gita, Arjuna suddenly asks that all that you say is wonderful, but mind is so fickle. You must also understand, Rama is incarnation. For himself he doesn't need, but he presents exemplary aspirant. An aspirant should not say to the Guru, I know already, don't tell me anymore. But he encourages the Guru to tell so that many people should be benefited. Another point that spiritual study and spiritual insight requires an open-hearted movement. You should not agree with something that you have not understood. But at the same time, you should not act in an agitated way. In other words, you shouldn't say, oh, I don't agree with you at all. And you should present your problem, why you are not able to understand. Can you clarify a little more, please? True spiritual progress is not accepting things simply because some referential people have said to you. Accepting things regarding understanding of who you are. You have to discover it. And therefore, be open to question, inquiry. And that's not considered against respectful relationship. Rather, it is most respectful when disciple opens the heart and tries to understand. And allows the Guru to give teachings. Just like Krishna and Arjuna, so Rama and Vasishtha. This again, that's a subtle illusion about religion. People discourage seekers from going into deep insight. Said by Sage Vyasa, how do you go against it? Sage Vyasa said that the entire Gita was taught in the battlefield. So take it literally. Millions of people stood in rapture. And Krishna went on telling 18 chapters of the Gita. And there was no stirring in the millions of people. Accept it because Vyasa says it. So that stage is kindergarten stage. You have to understand that the whole setup is being presented allegorically, not literally a historical project. So that type of understanding must enter your mind. Otherwise, the spirituality will be more on the basis of your concepts rather than real understanding and insight. Real insight will change you and will allow others to change. But simply a narrow-minded belief will neither help you nor others. What it will help you in creating dissension. Whoever doesn't agree with you, he will feel is going to hell. If you are worshipping only Lord Vishnu and you are somebody comes with Shiva devotion and you don't agree with it. So much so sometimes there is a disagreement between devotee of Rama and devotee of Krishna. So that is not real religion. With that introduction, we continue. Sri Rama asked all these questions and Sri Vasishtha replied, O Rama, listen to a dialogue that took place when King Suraghu was yet a Jivan Mukta. It is a spiritual dialogue between King Suraghu and his friend Parigha and has profound bearing upon the question you have asked. Another point, teachings are given in an artistic way. You have to also understand the psychology of the aspirants. If you start giving teaching, directly talking to the aspirant, you are a dullwit. All through this, so many lives you have just been Atmahano Jara, a serial killer. People have come for peace, relaxation, inspiration, all will move away. But bring it in an artistic way. How someone who was going through terrible internal turmoil and how he became free of that turmoil led by spiritual movement. And add to it some spicy drama. How he met someone, how certain things happened, and create some more spice. So then it becomes more delicious. So that's how Sage Vasishtha, instead of directly telling his teaching. He brings out a parable, an episode. In that episode, how two great sages communicate with each other. In a storyline, they were friends. In early days, they were friends. Later, they became great kings, and they were separated from the friend. But after Suraghu had attained enlightenment, King Parigha meets Suraghu. Both friends stay together. But how does this happen? You are being given little glimpse into Suraghu's practice of sadhana leading to his enlightenment. Rather, I'm talking about Parigha. During this time, when King Suraghu ruled over the people of Kiratas, Suraghu is in the Himalaya, ruler over a hilly tribe called Kirata tribe. Parigha was a king in the country of Parasika. Parigha was in another area, not a hilly region, and he was a great king. He was a valiant king who subdued his enemies by the might of his arms. Once there was terrible drought in his country, and his subjects began to perish. The king adopted various methods to save his people, but could not succeed. Finally, adopting the life of an ascetic, he renounced his kingdom and, wearing a deer skin, took to a forest where he practiced intense austerity. Again, all this description is allegorical. Don't take it literally. Allegorical means he came to a state of spiritual sensitivity. First, he was a great performer of his duty. And that resulted in developing internal vairagya towards worldly existence. He looked at the world and it was a big famine. Nothing can give real nourishment. The world of mortality, all the enjoyments you have, in spite of all that, there is no real nourishment leading the soul to immortality. The soul remains mortal and experiences mortality due to ignorance. You are looking at a big famine, a drought. From another angle, spiritual aspirants in divine plan are led to develop vairagya by facing various challenges in life. Challenging situations come in your life, they are very serious. They appear very serious, terrible. But read the story of any saint or sage. His saintliness didn't come out of silver plates. Everyone has to face special conditions, special circumstances that are extremely shocking. Shocks you out of everything that you depend upon. Then you begin to open your heart to that which is behind the entire world. and how ego is so helpless. Ego-based life may gain lot of success, may even become like Kansa and like terrible vanity-based personalities. But internally they are starving. So, finally adopting the life of an ascetic, he renounced his kingdom, wearing a deer skin. You do not exactly have to kill deer to get the skin. Whatever you are wearing becomes deer skin. Naturally, you wear simple things or certain type of clothing that becomes symbolic for your spiritual renunciation, sannyasi clothes or whatever. Took to a forest, and wherever you are, if mind becomes deeply involved in spiritual sadhana, you are in a forest. Not just in a forest, you are in a cave, because all the time your focus is in the quality of your heart. And your heart is your cave. At the same time, take it very simple way, there are people who do go into forests and practice a lot of austerity. King Parigha continued to practice various spiritual disciplines in the cave of a mountain. He lived on mere leaves for a long time, and thus came to be known as Paranada. Paranada means one who eats leaves, nothing else. And if you become more advanced, then you don't even eat leaves. You simply drink water. Figure it, how do you drink it? What I say, don't take it literally. Ahara Shuddhavu. When you become spiritually active, all your intake must be pure. Beginning with your physical intake, physical food. It should be sattvic. Why are you taking food? To maintain your health. Why are you maintaining your health? Because all your purposes of life will not be fulfilled unless you have health. And so, eating food just for pleasure, ignoring your health, that's an error. Now become paranada. All this world of pleasure becomes little. You go after nourishment. That's what the present world is constantly looking for. How to get good nourishment from fruits and roots and leaves and flowers. And I'm not going to detail. It's also, Gita gives you more understanding, sattvic food. As a result of his sustained practice of austerity for a very long time, sustained sadhana, higher attainment is not something quickly done. Even lower attainment, you are building up your health from a weak state. It requires time and patience. His heart became purified by the grace of God. He went beyond the pairs of opposites and attained the knowledge of the self. With his heart overflowing with divine bliss, he began to roam from place to place until in the course of his wanderings, he happened to enter the kingdom of the Kiratas, where he met his year-long friend, King Suraghu. After expressions of joy and mutual greetings, they conversed on spiritual matters. What's most important, see their conversation. Through the conversation, insight is being brought into what is the highest attainment and how does it look like. King Parigha said, "O Suraghu, having seen you after a long time, my heart overflows with joy. My mind enjoys the nectar of serenity. Even like you, I have attained wisdom." It also gives you a subtle point in what is called real friendship. When there is a mutual sharing of spiritual insight. To be a friend, mitra. Mi term relates to joyousness. It comes from Amrita, mi term. Tra, three aspects of your personality. Manasa, vacha, karmana, mind, speech and action. All the three become embellished by that type of association. You are helping your thoughts. How should think? How should speak? How should you act? An integral progress. And that is the purpose behind real relationship. And that's used by the term mitra. In a way, mother is mitra of her sons. Father is mitra of his sons. Mitra aspect, Vishwamitra, his word is used. The whole world must be viewed with that friendly attitude. Be a friend. Even like you, I have attained wisdom. I practiced austerity for a very long time, and as a result of divine grace, I became enlightened. Parigha says to Suraghu. Do you, O king, enjoy the bliss of liberation? Have you become free of all misery? Do you perform your royal duties with a balanced mind? Are your subjects happy, prosperous, and contented? Like the lustrous rays of the moon, have you filled all the directions with your divine fame? That's subtle point that only by your enlightenment you can really radiate divine fragrance all around you. Movement towards liberation is blossoming of your spiritual potentiality. And spiritual potentiality blossoming in an individual is like a spring season. It's operating through a person. When spring season comes, the whole forest becomes enriched in a special way. In a very simple way, when a flower blossoms, it does not retain all its fragrance within its petals. Whether it like it or not, fragrance goes all over. So that type of existence is, from a spiritual point of view, you have really gone viral. Otherwise, you have gone viral. But because of virus. That type of fame is just for entertainment. There is nothing more, no more purpose. You see so many things that excite your mind. And with modern technology, you go on sending every little thing that hardly you have yourself enjoyed. You send it to thousands of people. And soon you hear, it went viral. 1 million observers. So, try to understand two types of going viral. Here, unawares, you simply move in a positive way, in a divine way, and allow bhakti to enter your heart. How many people will be benefited, you have no idea. Directly, indirectly, in a very subtle, mystic way. No one can really progress without influencing countless people. No wave can rise unless many other waves also must rise with it. So therefore, the best way of bringing peace in the world and harmony is not going after so many social projects, but one big project, attaining enlightenment. In that process, automatically, what becomes highlighted, you gain insight and share it. Called Jnana Yajna. The more you get involved in this type of project, whatever insight you are getting that is helping you profoundly, go on sharing it. As you go on sharing, your insight grows more. If you don't share, your insight becomes stagnant. Like the lustrous rays of the moon, have you filled all the directions with your divine fame? Sarve bhavantu sukhina. The heart that has attained, come to that state of communion with God. That heart becomes a source of inspiration for countless. Allegorically, that heart is like the moon, showering nectarine rays over the entire earth. You have become an abode of spiritual qualities, even like a lake that abounds with lotuses. Alas, we have been separated for a very long time, but fortunately we have come together once again. Like a spring that visits a mountain valley. King Suraghu said, "O sage," he calls his friend now a sage, "the destiny ordained by divine will operates like the movement of a snake, too elusive for the human mind. just a simple understanding. As you gain spiritual insight, as you begin to progress, countless things happen in the world and the divine plan. Whom you are going to meet, how you are going to meet, how you will inspire others, that becomes a quite intricate and very profound movement. Simple way of saying, it becomes a snake movement. Sneaks. You are ready for gaining spiritual insight, then some personality begins to contact you. You contact some personality who will inspire. Not only personality, but your circumstances will come, develop in such a way that will help you to understand or gain more strength. Circumstances may appear negative or positive, but even through negative, the snake is sneaking in, the snake of spiritual insight. And it sheds one slough and waits for shedding another. Your very presence has showered nectar in my heart. I am indeed most blessed. It's a friendly communion. Sage Vasishtha continued, O Rama, these two friends, Kings Suraghu and King Parigha, lived together for a considerable period of time. And during their companionship, they conversed on various spiritual matters. One day, desirous of testing the spiritual attainment of his friend Suraghu, King Parigha said, O king, the actions of this world are delightful for a man of wisdom, but are painful for the ignorant. Actions of this world implies things that happen in the world. All things that happen, you begin to understand from a deeper point of view. They are behind all happenings, there is a divine hand. And all happenings have purpose. On the other hand, if you don't have that divine vision, then you are looking at a world which is always unsatisfactory, always waiting for things to change in the world, always cursing yourself to come in the time of Kali Yuga and not be in Satya Yuga, not realizing Satya Yuga was worse than Kali Yuga. They were bigger demons at that time. Understand, I'm joking. Don't take it literal. Because those yugas are allegorical terms. O king, do you practice samadhi, which is the supreme means of ending the misery of the mind and of enjoying the bliss that transcends the pleasures of the senses? King Suraghu responded, O sage, the state of samadhi wherein all mental thoughts and desires are transcended is indeed blissful. But tell me, why do you ask whether I practice samadhi or not? Real samadhi is not a matter of practicing. It is spontaneous, sahaj. If you are really good, anyone who asks, are you practicing goodness? You are not practicing, you are good. So samadhi in the early state is a means to an end, sadhana. But sadhana state is not your goal. Your goal is not to wait for samadhi early in the morning in Brahma Muhurta and lose the samadhi for the whole day. To wait for another season for better samadhi. All that at the practical level, practice level is perfectly normal. But your goal is not in the stage of practicing. The goal is in the state of realizing it. When the goal is attained, it's a perpetual state of samadhi. A deeper awareness of who am I remains unshaken. And that the world is nothing but Brahman, behind all names and forms. Ghat ghat mein hai Sai Ramta. In every personality, in every individual personality, God dwells. The entire world is nothing but Satchidananda. The sage whose mind is enlightened is ever immersed in samadhi. Even though performing actions in his daily life, he continues to enjoy perpetual samadhi. But a person whose mind is not purified, even if he were to stay seated in a lotus pose for a long time, he is not in samadhi, because his mind does not flow to Brahman. O sage, samadhi does not consist of being seated in a static pose. The majority of people look for success, and they count the success by learning whether the sage has been sitting in one pose for hours. But rather is that fire which reduces all worldly desires into ashes. It's called vasana kshaya, one who has attained that state where all the vasanas, subtle impressions based upon kleshas, ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, fear of death. There's the 5 sources of creating negative vasanas. When all this negativity completely is neutralized, that state is vasana kshaya. Vasana-ridden state is like a cloud that is obscuring the sun. Entry into of Shubha Vasana, sun begins to flow through the cloud. Same mind in 2 stages. And as it flows, in early stage, cloud can win over the rays of the sun and completely obscure. In advanced state, cloud will not obscure, but cloud itself becomes so involved in enjoying the rays that he doesn't even know that it is being effaced. When that state comes, that's vasana akshaya. You have mind, but you don't know. Your vasanas are slipping away from you. With the eradication of all the objects of desire, all the ashanas. Putreshana, you live, always look forward to building up a wonderful household life, having wonderful sons. In order to see your sons happy, you must see that every son has his sons and daughters happy. How long? You try to secure a lot of money so that your generations will go on enjoying. The whole involvement in that direction, putreshana. Next, vitteshana. Constantly you develop the idea that all that you want depends upon money. So how to have money and money and money? All the greenery of the world doesn't please you. The greenery of dollars. And lokeshana. How to go viral, very popular. These are the desires. All desires are based upon these three highlights. And if you live in that realm of fulfilling your desires, you are far from the highest reality, far from your real sense of stability, the real joy. You are being knocked from one state to another, and your mind builds up the illusion of enjoying. Each time if you are knocked one way, you interpret it is happiness. You record it. Knocked another way, you don't like it. But the world is like a tree that faces wind, and wind goes on shaking the tree this way and that way. You are constantly shaking. In advanced state, your shaking does not break your roots. You strengthen it. If you do sadhana, out of the shaking, you create a special effect. You gain advantage out of your adversity in a spiritual way. How to have patience. Turn to God for help. And you use your prosperity in a spiritual way. Instead of just enjoying prosperity and craving for more, you understand your prosperity is a great opportunity. The best thing that you can do to yourself and to others, focus on that. Utilize your prosperous time. Your happy time should not just happen to be happy. Don't make it a short happening. When the chitta of a sage becomes fully established in the self, it is known as samadhi. The direct intuitive realization of the self is called samadhi by the sages. Samadhi means that realization. Aham brahmasmi. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am, that am I. A revelation of truth. That's the truth. The mental concept of what you are, no matter how wonderful it may appear to you, is not the reality. Because that mental concept is depending upon your brain and nervous system. If you put it outside, it looks very little brain and nervous system. But it is only that holds. This is the mystic iPad. It holds all the world that you experience, all the world you imagine, all the world you have gone through millions of lives. All that is being interpreted through your conditioned mind, operating through your nervous system. This world is very delicate. In that world, you will not have permanency. So the I am that you experience through that conditioned mind, that I am is not real I. Even in your daily experience, that I goes on eluding your grasp. When you are in deep sleep, you are not aware of your I, the ego. So, what is your real I am, the real identity? That should become most interesting in your personality. Create interest in realizing I am. That's the purpose behind all sadhana. And you cannot have a real interest until you are integrated. Your karma must become karma yoga, emotion, bhakti yoga, willing process, meditative practice, and understanding of I am, jnana. All yogas must become harmonized. This doesn't mean that you have to go on counting. Have I done bhakti? Have I done this? No, understand, you are growing like a tree. A tree doesn't count. If you are following in a profound way, automatically integral process enters your personality. This state is described as supreme contentment, param tripti, fulfillment of all desires, the revelation of I am. Realize. The I am in you like a reflected sun in a jar of water. The story of reflected sun has countless variations. Put the jar of water into another jar, and reflected sun will have a little different condition. And there are countless reflections. Don't live in that realm of reflected sun. All the time, the reflected sun is the sun. Switch your attention to that is the truth behind your soul. And that should be more interesting, because all the interest you can get by going into pot after pot is nothing compared to realizing I am the sun. And therefore, that attainment is supreme contentment and cessation of all distractions of the mind. And with this we will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukuma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamrita Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashtidukha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Tat Sat.